The biggest challenge for them is the man, material, and the factor called as machines. That leads to an injury or a property kind of thing. Yes, that can be covered under the engineering insurance. So definitely this sector needs to be given a high amount of importance and coverage value. The insurance will always look into factors which are pre-planned and already measured and assessed. Good morning and welcome to the session 4 of Unit 3 in Principles and Practice of General Insurance, where we are going to talk about the engineering cover insurance altogether. Now, most of the business and infrastructure requires a great amount of support from the insurance company, because when we talk about heavy engineering practices, there's a lot of risk that is involved. Let's have a quick look into it. Starting with the introduction, engineering insurance refers to the insurance that provides economic safeguard to the risk faced by ongoing construction project, installation, machines and equipment in a project operation. Now, let us talk about companies like L&T, DLF, GMR, or any of those big companies which are involved today in the construction business. The biggest challenge for them is the man, material, and the factor called as machines. So when we talk about the man, material, and machine, there's a whole lot of risk that is involved in terms of running the business. Anything can happen to the labor, or anything can happen to the machine, or anything can also happen because of the machine. So what is happening here is that you need to have an insurance package, an insurance cover that will be able to protect your projects as well as your people and your business at any given point of time. So that's why we are going to talk about the engineering insurance, which is of a very great value today in the economy. Now, moving forward, let us try to understand the product categories. Depending upon the project, it can be divided into a construction project where all risks are being covered, insurance of installation project, all can be looked further. Now, when we talk about the attribute of the object, or it can be divided as per the project insurance, machinery factors altogether. So I would always say that when we are looking into this insurance business, we need to be extra careful about the factor. On what basis, on what levels are we trying to cover it? It might be based on the product category, or it might be based on the risk factor. It might be based on the the equipment or the machinery or the type of objects that we are involved into. So it is very, very important for all of us to understand the categorization very, very clearly before even we start thinking and working about this project. So, for example, you might be involved in a road project, in a bridge project, in a highway, or in a construction of a flat, or in a construction of a complex, or an IT park. But then the risk involved in each and every project is subject to variation. So you need to know which kind of projects, what kind of the machinery, the labor, and the risk factor that are involved, so that we can do insurance accordingly. Followed by the functions that we are going to talk about. The functions are, when we are starting with the material loss, which means to say that the insured project loss caused by any accidents or natural disasters, except for the exclusions. The exclusions are very, very normal. Like when we are going to talk about, let's say that any kind of external factors or terrorism kind of things that are going to come into factor. Now, that is not going to be counted, or a man-made disaster that's coming into picture will not be accounted. But any other accident or natural disasters like flood, earthquake, or cyclone, or typhoon, or tsunami coming into picture, there would be a material loss, and that material loss can be covered in an engineering insurance. So that becomes a very, very important process for each one of us to understand and take it forward. The third party liability, according to the law, the insured sum shall assume the compensation liability for the personal injury or property damage to the third party. So this becomes very, very important here. And in case of any construction sites or adjacent areas that are caused by the accidents or directly relates to the insured project altogether. So these are all the factors that one has to keep in mind before they start getting into the construction, before they start doing the work altogether. So you have to keep all these factors in mind before you start getting into the factors of construction, before you start understanding that, the insurance coverage package is determined or not. So if there is going to be any third party liability, anything that leads to an injury or a property kind of thing, yes, that can be covered under the engineering insurance. Followed by, we are also going to talk about exclusions: engineering design, construction technology error, or there is going to be a damage of machinery and equipment, material quality defects, momentum change that's going to happen in the equipment. All these things will not be covered under insurance. Why? Because these are all man-made errors altogether. So at any given point of time, if there is a man-made error that is going to come into picture, there is going to be some sort of challenge that is going to come into picture, then we are going to throw this factor away. This will not be covered at any point of time. The reason being is that in these kind of cases, in these kind of factors, you will not be able to undergo the factors of, let's say that how it is happening, why the challenges are coming. We will not be able to judge it. We will not be able to understand it. So in this case, we are not going to come into picture. We are going to take it away, and this will not be a part of the insurance coverage at any given point of time. The special clause: more than 40 special clauses are available basis of the risk assessment, payment of additional expenses that can include on strike, riot, civil commotion, limited liability assurance period, or any special fee causes, or something related to your building, tunnels, earthquake regions, and other factor. So now you would see that in engineering, we have 40 different reasons, 40 different places and rules and regulation that can be included as a part of this entire activity, provided we understand those clauses and we are ready to pay that premium depending upon the nature of project and the factors that are involved, so that in the long run you are able to understand that whatever damages, whatever kind of factors are involved in this, they can be probably covered under the insurance. They can be probably given a guidance under the insurance, and that will not be counted at any given point of time as a separate risk factor. You can always include it, provided you are ready to pay the premium and provided you are ready to take it as an external factor altogether. Now, the target customers are definitely going to be the construction and installation project in the process of going out of construction enterprises, real estate enterprises, production houses, processing enterprises, power and gas equipment. Now, this contributes to almost 34% of India's economy. When you look into the real estate, when you look into the power, gas, electricity, and the production houses altogether. So definitely this sector needs to be given a high amount of importance and coverage value. Why? Because at any given point of time, this sector requires a special amount of mentioning, as they directly contribute to a 34% of the India's GDP. And with India today talking about the infrastructural growth happening everywhere, we need to give special protection. We need to give high coverage value so that this sector is completely covered, and in any kind of risk that comes to them, they are able to manage it and take it forward. Now, the special coverage is, when it comes, it is about the breakage of glass, which is quite common, storage risk at fabricated premises, which is also located in the special economic zones, or when you're talking about clearance and removal of debris, the dead bodies altogether, third party liability, escalation factors, express freight, holiday overtime for wages, that's also been covered, air freight, additional customers factors, construction of plant and machinery, any maintenance visit and extended maintenance cover. All these things are your external packages which have to be paid extra. But yes, this kind of coverage is available today for the insurance companies, which they can take it so that they are completely secured in terms of the project and in terms of the site. Moving forward, what this does not include is that excess specified in the schedule, loss discovered only at the time of taking the inventory, or any wear and tear or gradual deterioration. So we are not going to look into the depreciation factors that are going to be talked about, or if there is going to be any excess takeover of the inventory, or at that point of time I suddenly come back and say that, sir, there is a loss happening in the inventory, we are not able to know why it has happened. All those factors will not be considered at that moment. So what we typically try to make you understand here is that the insurance will always look into factors which are pre-planned and already measured and assessed. At the last moment, we cannot say that this has happened, so we need to cover insurance on that. So definitely not. And any gradual depreciation and wear and tear of the machinery will not be counted. Now, moving forward, loss or damage that is happening due to faulty design, again a human error coming into picture. Cost of replacement or repair rectification, these are not being included. Followed by the cost necessary for rectification or correction error will also not come into picture. Why? Because these are all the physical and maintenance losses which is not a part of the regular insurance coverage at any given point of time. So this is why these kind of losses will not be covered under the engineering cover insurance. Now, another thing that we need to see is that loss or damage to files, drawings, stamps, deeds, evidence of debt, notes, securities, or any kind of packaging materials, this will not be taken into account in any damages or penalty to the account insured. Fulfillment, the non-fulfillment of the terms of delivery, completion and the contract of thing, this is purely related to the construction contract, nothing to do with the insurance. Loss or damage to vehicle, license of general road use, or any waterborne vessels or machineries operated, these kind of factors will not be covered under the engineering insurance at any point of time. Why? Because if you look into this factor, these are all something related to the business rather than the general coverage area itself. So the insurance says that at any given point of time, I will not take in charge of whatever is the man-made or the contract insurances or about the vehicular transfer, because you have separate insurances talking about it. Now, with this, I come to the end of this particular session. I hope and believe that this session was of a great help and resource to you. In the upcoming sessions, we will be learning more about the types of general insurance that are becoming very, very relevant to the modern situation. Until then, stay tuned, stay blessed, and stay enlightened forever. Thank you once again for joining me today on this wonderful session.